welcome to a new backcountry snowpack summary for the North Shore Mountains, brought to you by North Shore Rescue on Friday, February 11th, 2022. I would like to begin this week by extending my sympathies to all of those affected by the tragedy of Mount Cassiope last weekend, and also acknowledge the fantastic work that was done by both Whistler and Pemberton Search and Rescue in these events. It's also worth mentioning that during that last weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, we had multiple simultaneous SAR tasks happening along the sea to sky corridor, which obviously puts a lot of strain on the organizations. And in the past few years, we've all become accustomed to think about what we can do not to or to help prevent overwhelming the system. And I think that it maybe is time for the backcountry community to start having this discussion, because with the call volume the way it's been increasing steadily in the last few years, and with the weather forecast and a special public avalanche warning in effect this weekend, I don't know very many SAR volunteers who are not a little bit worried about what's going to happen or what's coming our way this weekend. So I just mentioned there is a special public avalanche warning for this weekend. The South Coast region, in which the North Shore are found, is not part of that warning. However, it's right at our doorstep, so it's worth discussing it a little bit. So please stick around for the snowpack discussion. So I'd like to begin by discussing the special public avalanche warning that was issued by Avalanche Canada. In this profile that I dug yesterday, on a west aspect of tree line in the Whistler area, you can see about 40 centimeters down, there's this mid-January crust that is easy to find, and you can see that the crystals around it are still fairly weak. This is the same layer that was causing issues last weekend. It's a little bit more stubborn maybe now, but it's still, as you can see in this unfortunately out of focus compression test, it still produces sudden collapse results. So it's still triggerable. And of course, what we're worried about this weekend is the weather forecast. Freezing levels are shooting up to 3,000 meters, tons of solar radiation. That's going to put a tremendous amount of stress on that weak layer. Hence the special public avalanche warning. Now on the North Shore, things are a little bit different, but they do have some similarities. So we do have in this profile, we're at 1,200 meters on a west aspect. We have 35 centimeters of snow sitting on the hard crust. So if you were with us last week, you'll see that the snowpack structure really hasn't changed all that much. If you remember, there was this layer of weaker snow immediately above the crust, and this layer is definitely still there. It has gained a little bit of strength since last week, but it's definitely noticeably weaker than what's below and above. Now, what has changed maybe a little bit more is the nature of the crust above. So we've had quite a bit of warm and cold cycles that cause the crust on the surface to gain quite a bit of strength. And right now, a person would be really hard pressed to trigger an avalanche, because this is so hard for such good bridging that even with that weak layer down below, we're not especially concerned. That's for people. However, the sun is way more powerful than we are as far as triggering avalanches. So this weekend, even if the SPA doesn't extend to the North Shore region, I would say that if you're in a place that has seen enough sun to break down this crust and you're now sinking deeply into wet snow, that should definitely send a huge alarm bell. So the snowpack this weekend on the North Shore is sort of this baked structure with kind of a gooey center that looks a little bit like this. The snowpack in the South Coast inland and sea to sky region probably looks some more along these lines. Now, of course, going from the North Shore all the way to the Duffy Lake Road, you're going to find pretty much everything in between, which is where this analogy maybe ceases to be super useful. So for this weekend, definitely a huge margin of safety. We're less concerned, certainly on the North Shore, about human triggering, but the sun is throwing a lot of uncertainty into that forecast. So stay safe this weekend, and we'll see you next week.